your emails are landing in the spam folder, then this video is for you because I am covering our entire Klaviyo deliverability detox protocol. So this is the exact process we follow to get our emails out of the spam folder and consistently into the primary tab for our clients. So just a heads up, this protocol must be followed to its entirety to ensure maximum effectiveness. I'm going to give away all of our secrets in this video, so make sure you watch it in its entirety and pull up your own Klaviyo account as well, because I'm going to walk you through step by step the exact process. Now, why should you follow this protocol? Well, number one, it's getting tougher and tougher to land in the inbox folder in 2025. You see, email service providers are getting stricter on their rules to land in the primary tab, and it's getting easier to be flagged as spam and landing in the spam tab. So number two is landing in the spam will actually cost you thousands of dollars in sales for your brand. So if your email's landing in spam, it's highly likely they're not going to be opened, which means you're not actually going to drive clicks and drive sales. So the whole goal of email marketing, and nothing else matters if your email's landing in spam. So get your deliverability right first. It's easy to get right. Get it right first, and then you can worry about your entire strategy on the back end, because none of that matters if you are landing in the spam. Number three, you should follow this protocol because this is the most bulletproof protocol to ensure inbox placement in 2025. I've seen on the internet, I've watched hundreds of videos, and nothing compares to this. So make sure you watch it in its entirety. Who should follow this protocol? Well, you want to perform this detox protocol if you're using Klaviyo and your open rates are below 30%, because this means you're likely going to spam in some service providers. Two, you're sending from a domain that has never been used for email marketing. So maybe you're new to email marketing and you want to get your deliverability right from the get-go, then you should definitely follow this protocol. Number three, you're sending from a domain that's rarely been used. So maybe you had it set up maybe a couple of years ago and you've sent a couple of times, but you haven't really sent in the past couple of months or years. Really important you follow this protocol, as a lot of changes have been made to deliverability guidelines. So you really need to make sure you are up to the latest protocol. In terms of the exact process, well, it's in 4 phases and it goes over 48 days. So follow this over the next 48 days and your deliverability is going to be A+. So phase 1 is consisting of creating the core engaged segments, turning off your low engaged flows, sending campaigns to your 15-day engaged, and then completing the deliverability checklist. Phase 2 is slowly transitioning and opening up your segments once you hit that 45% open rate, and then you are continuing to send at least 2 campaigns per week. Phase 3 is keeping up on opening your sending segments when you surpass 45% open rates on the previous segment. Phase 4 is just monitoring open rates. So that's a very high level overview. Now I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into every single phase in case that didn't make sense. So let's start with phase 1. Now this is typically 1 to 3 weeks you can expect this phase to take. And it's really important you follow all of these 4 steps in order. So step number 1 is creating the engaged segments. So it's important inside of your Klaviyo account, you jump in and you create these following segments. So you can see there's 4 segments here to create. And the reason why you want to create these is because these are your highly engaged users, right? So these are the people we want to send to, because the whole thing with deliverability is you're going to land in a primary inbox or promotions or spam folder based on how engaged your subscribers are. So if you're sending to a list that is very low engaged and no one's opening your emails, your email service providers are going to flag that as spam because no one's interacting. Therefore, they're going to think that no one really wants to see these emails. So you're going to get triggered in the spam folder. So by creating these engaged segments of your 90-day, 60-day, 30-day, and 14-day, this gives us a really good starting point to send campaigns to. So once you've created these segments here, then you want to follow on to step 2, which is sending to the 14-day engaged segment. So for the next 2 to 3 weeks, what you want to do, you want to send at least 2 to 3 campaigns per week. And the campaigns segment you're sending to is this 14-day engaged segment. So here you can see when you are sending, just click 14-day engaged. You also want to turn on reputation repair using Klaviyo AI. So make sure you're excluding unengaged recipients. This means we're going to skip all the people who aren't engaged, haven't engaged in the last 60 days at all. This again improves our deliverability. So like I said, for the next 2 to 3 weeks, you're sending to this segment and you're improving your open rates, because your metrics are really going to determine where and who you should be sending to. So you really want to strive and hit 40 to 50% open rates for this segment. Once you hit 40 to 50% open rates for this segment, then you can scale up to 30-day engaged, then 60, then 90, and so on. Another thing you want to do in this first phase is turn off low engagement flows. This is your win back, your sunset, and your cross sell flows. So you want to set these to draft, and you should only have the following flows live. You should have the welcome flow, site abandon, browse abandon, abandon cart, and customer thank you. The reason why is because these are your high engaged flows. People are most likely to open these flows because they're very engaged sort of user activity at this stage. For example, your win back flow, these are people who haven't engaged in over 3 months. So we're not going to turn that flow on because it's likely there's going to be really low open rates. So you only want to have the flows that are going to get high open rates, as this is just building up that sender reputation. Step number 4 in this first phase is completing the deliverability checklist. Now, not many people have a checklist like this, but if you complete all things on this checklist, it just ensures A+ deliverability, and it means that every single thing is ticked off, and the only thing that matters is improving your open rates from your campaigns. So these things here is a must. You must set these up as a minimum. So number 1, setting up a dedicated sending domain. So most people have already set that up. So just head to your settings, account, domains. And if you have a status that says active here, it means you've already set it up. If you haven't set it up yet, then there's a link here to set this up. It'll guide you the full process on setting that up, but you must get that set up right away. It's very important that you do that. Number 2 is setting up all the SPF, DMARC, DKIM records. So once you set up a dedicated sending domain, DKIM and SPF will automatically be set up, so you don't have to worry about that. But you still need to set up DMARC manually. So make sure you have this record set up in your DNS setter. So whether you're using GoDaddy or whatever DNS provider, domain provider, you've set up this record here. Just make sure that's set up. You can copy and paste that in if you haven't. The third one here is a little trick that we use. It's called the email deliverability footer. So one of the biggest misconceptions with email deliverability is you cannot include lots of images within your emails because they get flagged by spam filters. Now, this is only true if you don't also include HTML text within the email too. So HTML text is what the inbox providers want to see, and it's what they look for in order for you to land in the inbox folder. However, if you include HTML blocks in your email rather than image blocks, it's going to look very different depending on the device you open the email from. So it's going to hurt your design. It can alter the text size, and the sections can actually change color if you are opening it on like a dark mode on your mobile or something like that. So you can see HTML text has very different look depending on how you open it. So we want to avoid that completely. And what we want to do is upload your email as images only. And then in the footer, we add a lot of HTML text in the footer. We make it really small and invisible, so it doesn't affect the subscriber experience. And most importantly, it keeps our inbox providers happy. So it kind of bypasses that HTML text need by putting it all in the footer, turning it the same color, making it really small so no one can see it. And it's a really good trick to improve your deliverability. So to do this, you want to follow this following process. So head over to your About Us page on your website and copy at least 3 to 4 long paragraphs of text. So you can see here for this brand, we just copied a lot of text from their About Us page. Then we went into their Klaviyo account. We went to the footer in the email builder and we added a text box and we pasted all the text that we copied. You can see there all that HTML text, which is going to be picked up by the service provider. And it's going to mark it as inbox primary tab. So you can see we've copied all that, pasted it all in. And then also an important step here, you really want to make sure you do this. You remove any words that may be triggered by spam filters. So in this About Us text, make sure there's no words that say free, investment, winner, guaranteed, limited, etc. You can look up spam trigger words on Safari and it'll give you probably over 50 that you want to avoid. So make sure you check and remove any of those words because that's going to be flagged by the spam filters. Step 4, you actually want to edit this text here, edit the size to 1 pixel and change the line spacing to 1%. So you can do that in the Klaviyo editor. So just highlight all that text, change it to 1 pixel, and then change the line spacing to 1%. You can see we've done that here, and that's what it should look like. And then lastly, you should alter the text color to match the background of the footer. So you can see we've changed the text color from here to that navy blue, and you can see it's blended in nicely, and you can't even see it's there. So it doesn't even hurt the subscriber experience. And then lastly, you want to star this footer as universal content, and then you're using this footer across all your flows in your campaigns. So you can label it the deliverability footer, and then you're just using that when you are creating new flows and campaigns. You're using that exact footer all the time. The next checklist thing you want to do is create a sunset flow. So in order to filter out unengaged profiles, you want to follow this process to create a sunset unengaged flow. This is a full example on how to build out a sunset flow. It's really simple, really straightforward. So there's a Klaviyo help article on here, which you can just click on and do yourself. And then lastly, you want to perform an initial list clean. So it's highly likely you haven't cleaned your list in a while. Most brands forget about cleaning their list. It's important to do because it's going to lower your Klaviyo bill, and it's going to suppress all the people who aren't actually engaged with your brand, which is what we want to do. So you want to create the follow the 2 steps. So you create this unengaged profile segment. So these are the profiles here, and then you want to suppress this segment. So open the menu, hit suppress current members, and you can suppress them right away. So make sure you suppress them because they're people who are highly likely never going to interact with the brand, and we can get rid of those profiles. After you've followed phase 1, it's by far the longest phase out of all of them. It's 3 weeks long. The next phase is phase 2, and this is around 14 days. So it's from days 21 to 35. And there's just 2 steps in this phase. So phase 1 is we've been sending to that 15-day engage for 2 to 3 weeks long. So now what we can do is we can transition from 15-day engaged to 30-day engaged segment. So once these open rates are consistently above 45% for the 15-day engaged, you should then transition and open up to the 30-day engaged. The reason why we do this is because we've built that really good reputation on that really active 15-day engaged segment. Now we can slowly open it up to 30-day and try and see if we can get 45% open rates. So simply what we're doing here is we're just repeating the same process as we did for the 15-day engaged. We're sending campaigns to the 30-day engaged segment until the open rates are consistently above 45%. Now, just a note here, if you do up it to the 30-day engaged segment and then your open rates fall back down to below 40%, then what I suggest is moving back down to the 15-day engaged and then just repeating the process until you get up to that 45% open rate. Another really important thing here, so in order to improve open rates and fix deliverability, it's important you're just sending at least 2 campaigns per week to your list. Otherwise, the process will take so much longer as your inbox providers, they really need consistent emails to really mark and determine where they should plan them. So you need to send at least 2. We recommend 3 to 4 per week, honestly. But if you only have time to send 2, that's the bare minimum. So make sure you're sending 2 campaigns per week to really speed up this process. Moving on to phase 3. Now this is day 35 to 48. So after we've sent to, that 30-day engage for a couple of weeks, we're going to keep expanding this sending segment once we consistently hit 45% open rates on that previous segment. So when your 30-day engaged is hitting 45% open rates consistently, then you can move to 45-day engaged. And from there, we just want to repeat this process until we hit 45% open rates for the 90-day engaged. So we're at that 45-day engaged now. We hit that segment for 2 to 3 weeks. We get 45% open rates consistently. Then we go to 60-day engaged, repeat the process, then 90-day engaged. So here we just want to monitor the open rates to really ensure we don't drop below 45% open rates during this time. If at any stage open rates fall below that 40%, then what you want to do, you just want to drop back to the previous segment for a couple of campaigns until we reach that 45% again. Phase 4, the last phase here, all we're doing is monitoring the rewarming process and we're assessing. So by now, after 48 days, we should consistently be getting 45% open rates to that 90-day engaged segment. And now, all we're doing here is just monitoring our open rates regularly to ensure we don't drop below 45% open rates. This process is tedious, but it does work. So make sure you stick to the steps in there entirely to ensure strong results. Another thing I want to mention here, now that you're consistently getting 45% open rates on that 90-day engaged, you can now maybe once or twice a month, you can open up and send to such as like a 120-day engaged or 180-day engaged to get really some more profiles into that 90-day engaged. So you have the freedom to do that once you have that 45% open rate on the 90-day engaged. You want to send out to a bigger list to really catch some profiles and get them in that 90-day engaged segment. So that's a tip I recommend doing, which is going to allow you to send to more people. As well as when you're running a sale, you can open up that segment to 180-day engaged just to attract some more customers to the site. So that is the full guide. It's nice and simple. It's very simple and straightforward, but it's not easy to follow. So you really want to make sure you can follow that and stick to this process consistently for the next 4 to 5 weeks, because by the end of that, your deliverability is going to be very, very strong. And then the only thing you need to do once you get really strong deliverability is just maintain it. So that's just monitoring on a monthly basis. You're monitoring your open rates, making sure you're not slipping and falling below. If you are falling below, then you're tightening up your segments for a couple of weeks and then slowly transitioning back. So that's a full process. If you want access to this guide so you can follow it step by step, you can download it, you can save it to your own folder. It's yours. It's completely free. I'll link it in the description. You can get it for free. You can have that and you can follow that over the next few weeks to make sure you improve your deliverability. So hopefully that was completely concise and you have a really good understanding of where to go from now. If you were looking for some more help, maybe some more custom and tailored advice specific to your email marketing account, I'd love to perform a free Klaviyo audit for your brand. Pretty much what this is just getting access to the back end of your Klaviyo account, pulling apart every single area of your Klaviyo strategy. So your email list, your flows, campaigns, segmentation, deliverability. We'll look at everything and then we'll provide you with a custom 90-day roadmap and we'll give it to you. You can implement it yourself to get your email marketing revenue to 30 to 40%. So if you want that offer, it's completely free. You can book in a call with myself down below. Completely free, no strings attached, and I hope to speak to you soon. Bye.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.